What's going on, guys? Thank you for watching. In this video I'm going to show you what you need to start painting with acrylic paints using acrylics. It's probably the most effective way for beginners to learn how to paint successfully. With only a few key materials you can create stunning paintings in a relatively short period of time. Acrylics are very versatile, so you can paint thick or thin layers, use bright or dull colours. They also dry very quickly, which is great for a beginner as you can easily paint over mistakes. You can start and finish a painting within an hour or two, and you can clean your brushes with just water. So next you'll need your paint brushes. Here I've got a selection of paint brushes, but when you're first starting out you won't need that many. Over time you'll figure out what paintbrush you like the most, and the three main types of paintbrushes are round heads. This one is a small round headed brush which I use for mainly details of the painting. Then you've got a filbert brush, which is a straight brush but the edge is rounded, so it's good for blocking in large areas of colour, and then you can sort of turn it on its side and then use it for edges. And with this one, because it's rounded, it gets sort of smoother edges. And then the next main type of brush is flat-headed brush, and I've got two of these which I mainly use. And as it's in the name, it gives you a flat edge and you can block in large bits of colour. And you only really need, like, I don't even use the filbert brush, not because I don't like it, I just don't end up needing to use it. If I was going to do a painting, I'd mainly use just two different sized flat heads and a small round head for doing details. I mean, you can use something like this for doing a large painting if you want to do a large layer, but you don't have to use them if you're just starting off. Now, the main rule with acrylic paint is there's artist acrylic, which is the most high quality, then there's student, which is slightly less, and then there's hobby grade acrylic, which is not that good. So if you live in the UK, you'll probably be familiar with a shop called The Works, and they sell more like a lot cheaper paint. This was £2, and it's alright if you're just starting, but like, they put a lot more paint thinner in it, and the layers come out a lot thinner with less pigment in, so the quality will not be that good. I've tried to look on these, I couldn't find it, but these are definitely at least student grade, and then you get artist grade, which is a bit more expensive, but if you pay that little bit more, it's a lot more high quality. Like, say if you did one layer of this artist or student quality paint, you'd have to do at least 2 layers of the hobby paint just to get the same consistency, and you're going to end up using twice the paint, so you might as well just pay a bit more. It's worth getting more quality paints because your paintings will look a lot better. When you start buying acrylic paints, I would recommend getting a basic palette. You can get a set with the basic colours in. At least make sure they've got red, yellow, blue, black and white in, because you can make basically every single colour from just these few colours. I know they sell a lot more variety of colours, but you don't need to buy every single one if you're just starting. You can add a few more as you get better, but just buy the basic colours at first. Next you'll need a paint palette. You can get a couple different paint palettes. This is just your standard traditional sort of paint palette. It's got a lot of paint on it and it's quite heavy, but myself, I like to use cardboard because it's a lot cheaper. Like, I have this acrylic pad, and as you'll find with most painting and drawing pads, they've got a bit of cardboard on the back, and I usually just rip that off and turn that into a palette, which I've done here. Or you can buy peel off palettes, which is sort of like the same thing as a pad, and it's got a palette on it. You use it, and then when you're done you just rip it off and throw it away. But I think that's just a waste of money for me. If I can just use a bit of cardboard. You can use any flat surface really. You can use a bit of metal, plastic, glass, so you don't have to go out and buy a palette. You can just use a container lid or something. Next you need a canvas or something to paint on. This painting is on canvas, but if you're just starting out and you're not really sure, or you're not that good yet, I wouldn't just go out buying canvases. A good idea would to get this acrylic pad, and it's literally just canvas but just paper. It's a lot cheaper and it takes up a lot less space, and you can do a little practicing on it, and yeah, it's a lot easier to use. Or you can get canvas board, which is a bit cheaper than actual canvas, and again takes up a lot less space. You can paint on pretty much anything, metal, wood. Next you need an easel. I've got this easel, which is relatively cheap. It cost me about £15. It's metal and it's got these little plastic things here, so you can adjust it. You can fold it up, make it smaller, make it bigger, and you can move this like to adjust for the canvas size. But I got one of these because it's a lot cheaper than paying about £100 for an easel. You can also get a table easel, so if you just want to use less space, you can sit at the table and literally just put it on the table and paint, which is quite handy. But if you're just going to use this acrylic pad, you could literally just put it on the table and paint if you're just starting out. Or what I do is, I've got an actual sort of like a board, and I put that on the easel, and then I use masking tape and tape around the edges of the paper to keep it on the board. The thing you really need is paper towel to sort of dry your brushes once you've given them a clean. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.